Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Shefali Singla, and in the session, we are going to start with the next concept from DBMS, that is transaction and concurrency control. And to be precise, in this session, we will talk about the properties of the transaction and followed by the concept of recoverability. So, first of all, let me tell you that what sort of questions can be asked on the basis of recoverability. You might be given with some schedule, and they may ask that the given schedule is cascadeless recoverable but not strict recoverable, or the given schedule is recoverable but not cascadeless recoverable, given schedule is irrecoverable. तो इस तरीके से आपको चार options given होंगे and you have to identify that whether the schedule is recoverable, irrecoverable, cascadeless recoverable और strict recoverable. तो आज वाले सेशन में इतना ही है. And as you guys had given the feedback that we don't want to solve the questions on the same day, क्योंकि अभी तक हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे, we were having the master class in which we were solving the previous year questions on the same day. जिस दिन हमने concept cover किया उसी दिन हम questions कर रहे थे. But seems like many of you were unable to revise the concept or same day पे questions revise नहीं हो पा रहे थे. तो we will not be having a master class today. ओके क्योंकि जो टॉपिक हमने लास्ट वीक तक किए उन सब के हम पीवाईक्यूज कर चुके हैं. तो आज वाले सेशन के पीवाईक्यूज हम लोग करेंगे कल. Okay, so I'll inform you that so today there will be no master class. So what I have done is after covering the concept, क्योंकि सिर्फ थ्योरी का कोई बेनिफिट नहीं है, so after covering the concept we will be talking about, we will be discussing the practice questions. तो practice questions हम इसी सेशन में ले लेंगे and then PYQs जो है वो हम कल वाले सेशन में करेंगे. All right. Those who have joined the session live, guys, quickly give me the confirmation if the audio and the video is fine. Beginning में see इस topic में थोड़ी सी theory आएगी, that's perfectly fine. But on the basis of that theory also, you can expect the questions. I'll not be covering the complete theory in detail because in our YouTube sessions, we are just focusing on the concepts, right? And guys, you need not to write down all the concepts because anyhow, I'll be sharing the PDF of these slides in the Telegram group, and you know that where is that Telegram group, right? All right. So let's start with transaction and concurrency control. So first of all, we'll be talking about the transaction. Now, the first question arises is, what is a transaction? Transaction is when you are performing any set of related operations that is known as transaction. For example, you are going to a bank and you want to transfer few funds from your account to your friend's account. Okay, तो जब आप funds transfer कर रहे हो एक account से दूसरे account में, let us assume that this is a student A or this is person A and this is person B. So it A wants to transfer $1,000 from account A to account B. तो क्या करेंगे? First of all, the system will check that whether A is having a sufficient balance or not. कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होता है कि directly funds transfer हो जाते हैं. For example, you are like कि I want to transfer 10 lakh rupees, but 10 lakh rupees आपके account में नहीं है. So it's not possible. The system won't allow you to perform that transaction. It will say that you have insufficient balance. So how the system gets to know that it is having the insufficient or the sufficient balance? This is because first of all, it is reading the balance from, it is reading the value from the account A. Once the value is read, after that it is going to perform some operation. For example, A is equal to A minus 1,000 transfer करने 1,000. उसके बाद जो भी balance है, it will get updated immediately. It's known as performing the right operation. Right operation means updating the value. Now, when the 1,000 rupees is deducted from here, then it has to be credited in the account of B. So account B का जो balance है, it will get updated. So here, first of all, it is performing the read operation on the balance of B. Can you see here in the bracket I am writing B? This means that it is performing the read operation on, this is known as the data item. जिसके ऊपर हम कोई operation perform कर रहे हैं, that is known as the data item. B is equal to B minus B plus 1,000 rupees add हुए हैं and now it will show the updated balance of B. Now have you observed here I have performed two types of operations. One is known as the read or the write operations and other one is the computation operations. So these operations are known as, these instructions are categorized into two categories. One is known as the memory instruction and other one is known as the IO instruction. Okay, so these are nothing but the IO instructions. These are the memory instructions and these are known as the IO instructions. So basically when we will be talking about the transaction and the database, so we will be just talking about that what sequence of read or write operations was performed. Make sense? So this is an example of the memory instruction. Very good evening, Kanchan. And this is an example of the IO instruction. Throughout our discussion, we will be just talking about the IO instruction, that in what sequence the read or the write operations has been performed. Make sense? So a transaction is nothing but it is a set of, अगर मुझे ये transaction को represent करना है, then how will be representing this transaction? So we'll be simply writing as we have the data item A and B. First of all, the read operation is performed on the data item B, A, and then it is writing the value of data item A. Read operation on data item B and write operation on data item B. Okay, जिसके ऊपर operation perform कर रहे हैं, that is known as the data item. So a transaction is nothing but it is a set of logically related operations is known as transaction. Major operations हम transaction में कौन से perform कर रहे हैं? Major operations that are performed in a transaction are the read operations and the write operations. Read operation means we are simply reading the value. We are not updating the value or we are not writing the value. So read operation can be written as read of A. This indicates that we are performing a read operation on the data item A, or simply you can write this as R of A. Reads the welcome reads the value of A from the database and stores it in the buffer of the main memory. Main memory के buffer में क्यों store करें? Because whenever any operation is performed by the system, तो सिर्फ उन्हीं data items या उसी data के ऊपर operation perform हो सकता है, which is available in the main memory. You must have covered this concept in operating system as well. So if you are reading the data from some page, it should be present in the main memory. If it's not available in the main memory, then we have to transfer it from the secondary memory. और इस process को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Page fault or the page fault service time. Page fault is basically when we are referring to some page which is not present in the main memory and loading that page in the main from the secondary memory to main memory is known as page fault service time, right? तो वही चीज यहाँ पे जो भी आप ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म करोगे, जिस भी डेटा आइटम के ऊपर ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म करोगे, इट हैज टू बी इन द main memory. Second comes the write operation. Write operation is written as write of A, that is performing the write operation on the data item A, or simply you can write this as W of A, writes the value back. तो इसका मतलब कि database जो वैल्यू है वो बफर से मेमोरी मेन मेमोरी बफर से इट इज गोइंग बैक टू द डेटाबेस, that is known as write operation. So it does not always need to write it to database back. It just writes the changes in the buffer. This is why the dirty read comes into the picture. Dirty read is basically when you are reading some value which actually does not exist, or let's assume that temporarily some value was updated and some other transaction has read that temporarily updated value और कुछ टाइम के बाद जो वैल्यू अपडेट हुई थी that is gone. ओके तो इसका मतलब जो डिपेंडेंट ट्रांजैक्शन थी उसके पास कुछ ऐसी वैल्यू है which actually does not exist, so that is known as dirty read. I hope that this is clear. So basically what we have to do is we want to have the concurrent transaction. See, there will be two types of transactions, serial transaction, serial schedule and the concurrent schedule. Okay, we'll look at the advantages and disadvantages of serial. Serial का मतलब होता है one after another, यानी कि जो हमने यहाँ पे ये example लिया है, this is the example of serial schedule. This is serial schedule. Serial schedule means पहले एक transaction अपने सारे operations खत्म करेगी and then the second transaction will start. That is serial. Serial means one after the another. concurrent schedule means दो transactions parallelly work कर रही हैं. Obviously at a time one operation will be under the execution. For example, पहले A ने read operation perform करवाया, फिर B ने read operation perform करवाया, then A is writing read of B, फिर A ने write operation perform करवाया, and then B is performing the write operation. So here you can say that before the completion of one transaction, the other transaction is also under the execution stage. So this is known as concurrent schedule. Can somebody tell me that what are the advantages of serial schedule और एडवांटेजेस ऑफ कॉन्करेंट शेड्यूल? एक डिफरेंस तो बता दिया कि पैरेलली दोनों ट्रांजैक्शन एग्जीक्यूट कर रही हैं एंड सीरियल में इट्स वन आफ्टर अनदर. व्हाट इज अनदर डिफरेंस, और कैन यू टेल मी द एडवांटेज और डिसएडवांटेज ऑफ serial schedule or the concurrent schedule? Because this will give rise to the concept of why we need to cover the concept of recoverability and the serializability. Performance. Okay. So under what scenario performance is better? Very good, Terminator. I know that this is not the real name, but this is your username. But anyhow, yeah, performance is better in case of serial schedule or concurrent schedule. Performance is better in case of what? Definitely, not overlap actually. See, जब एक instruction under execution, other cannot be under the execution, but definitely in concurrent schedule the performance is better, because when one transaction is busy in performing the memory instruction, here we have talked about two types of instruction. एक होती है हमारे पास memory instruction and IO instruction. Let us assume that if we have a concurrent schedule when one transaction is busy in performing the memory instruction, at that time the other instruction can perform the IO instruction because the IO is free, right? And when one transaction is busy in performing the IO instruction, other transaction can perform the memory specific instruction. So this is how, obviously यहाँ पे resources different है. एक ही resource पे दो transactions या दो operations perform नहीं हो सकते, right? We have covered this in operating system. ये कुछ कुछ concepts है जो हमने operating system में cover किया हुए हैं. So if the resources are same, for example, if I go to the process scheduling, so we have seen that if one transaction or if one process is already scheduled on the CPU, then the other processes should be in the waiting state, right? That is known as the ready state. और अगर एक ट्रांजेक्शन IO ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म करवाने के लिए वेटिंग स्टेट में गया, then at that time some other process can be scheduled on the CPU. But कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होगा कि at the same time two processes are scheduled on a CPU. That will never happen because the resource is same, right? I hope you get this point. So overlapping undoubtedly nahi hogi, but definitely before the completion of one transaction, other transaction has also started with the execution. Great. So I'll be using two terms very frequently. One is the commit and other one is rollback. So commit basically represents that whatever operations we have performed on the transaction, that those changes had to be made permanent in the database. For example, जब आप किसी file पे work कर रहे हो, for example, you are working on some Excel file or on some Word file, after making the changes to the file, you save your data, right? So that is nothing but save क्यों करते हैं data, ताकि अगर हमें कुछ time के बाद उस data को refer करने हैं तो we can refer to that so that we can make the changes permanent to that file, right? Similarly here in the database, if we want to make the changes permanent to the database, then we are going to commit the transaction. So commit means after all the instructions of a transaction are successfully executed, the changes made by transaction are made permanent in the database. तो ये changes permanent हो जाते हैं. Rollback means sometimes if anything goes wrong, we want to perform the undo operations. For example, word file में अगर आपने फाइल को सेव नहीं किया, undo कब कर सकते हैं? जब तक फाइल आपकी सेव नहीं हुई है. So when you use the short uh, key, that is Control Z, so it will perform the undo operations. Undo means it will take you to the previous step, previous step, previous step until you have reached to the required step. So that is rollback. Similarly, in the transaction, if a transaction is not able to perform all the operations successfully, then all the changes made by the transaction are undone. Let's talk about the real life example for the same. Let's assume that you have done some booking through Make My Trip or you can say IRCTC, जहाँ से भी आपने booking की है. Sometimes what happens is when you go for the payment का message आ जाता है that the payment is successfully done, but after that sometimes it happens that if it's in the waiting state, your ticket doesn't get clear, तो आपको कुछ time के बाद refund आ जाता है. So that is performing the undo operations. Or for example, you have made some online purchase, आपने कुछ online order किया था. After some time, you get a message that your order is cancelled, but you had already paid for the your placed order. So in that case, when the recovery will take place, then the transactions which were not successful, जो fulfill नहीं हुई है, तो वो सारे के सारे ट्रांजेक्शन्स अंडू होती है. यानी कि जो पेमेंट जिस सोर्स से आई है, जिस कार्ड से आई है, जो भी पेमेंट मेथड था, इट विल गो बैक टू दैट मेथड. राइट? मेक सेंस? सो दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ कमिट एंड रोल बैक. कमिट को आप सेव के साथ कंपेयर कर सकते हो फॉर बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. फॉर रोल बैक दिस इज कंट्रोल Z. दैट मीन्स वी आर परफॉर्मिंग द undo operations. There are four properties to be satisfied by any transaction. If we are saying that the transaction is correct, transaction correct kab hogi? When it is atomic. Atomic is the smallest unit. Atomic simply means that which cannot be divided further. It is the indivisible unit. So atomicity means either execute the complete transaction or don't execute it at all. जैसे अभी हमने एग्जांपल देखा कि A के अकाउंट से कुछ अमाउंट डिडक्ट हुई एंड दैट इज क्रेडिटेड टू द अकाउंट ऑफ B. Just think about the scenario where the amount is deducted from the account of A but B के अकाउंट में गई नहीं, तो पेमेंट कहाँ गई? So this is not a correct transaction. So atomicity means या तो A के अकाउंट से भी डिडक्ट ना हो तो B के अकाउंट में क्रेडिट नहीं होंगे, अगर A के अकाउंट से डिडक्ट हुए तो B के अकाउंट में क्रेडिट होंगे. So atomicity means we mean that either the entire transaction takes place, या तो पूरी transaction execute होगी या फिर बिल्कुल नहीं होगी or doesn't happen at all. That is atomicity. Next one is consistency. This means that the integrity constraints. Consistency क्या बोलता है कि जो आपके पास डेटाबेस अगर ट्रांजैक्शन से पहले कंसिस्टेंट स्टेट में है, जो भी कॉन्स्ट्रेंट सेटिस्फाई हो रहे, इट शुड बी सेटिस्फाइड आफ्टर द कंसिस्टेंसी, आफ्टर एग्जीक्यूटिंग द ट्रांजैक्शन एज वेल. So this means that the integrity constraints must be maintained so that the database is inconsistent before and after the transaction. Next one is isolation. This actually comes into the picture when we have the concurrent schedule. Concurrent, abhi humne term discuss kiya. That means before the completion of one transaction, other transaction has also started with its execution. So that is concurrent transaction. But advantage of serial transaction is we always get the correct result क्योंकि किसी और transaction की कोई interference नहीं है. But when we have the concurrent transaction, then in that case we may get some data which actually does not exist, right? So in order to get the correct result, what we want is कि concurrent execution तो हो, but the transaction should execute in such a way that they are executing in a serial order, right? So they get an illusion कि कोई और transaction execute नहीं कर रही है, but actually it exists. Basically, why we are going for this process? Because if we have the concurrent schedule, advantage is the throughput is more, and if we talk about the serial, transaction serial schedule, then the advantage is in that case we have always the correct result. Database will always be in the consistent state. So we want a combination of both. हमें throughput भी ज़्यादा चाहिए and we want the correct result as well. We want the database to be in the inconsistent state. So for that, what we are saying is there should be the isolation of the multiple transactions. So this property ensures that multiple transactions can occur concurrently without leading to inconsistency of database state. Next one is durability. This is very very important because if you are performing the online transactions, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ टाइम के बाद आपको बोला जाए कि this is removed from the database, so we do not know whether this transaction ever held or not. This means that whenever required, the data should be recovered under all the scenarios. Doesn't matter what type of failure has occurred. हो सकता है system failure हो and system crash ho jaye. Any sort of failure can occur, but you should be able to recover the data under any kind of system failure. So this property ensures that once the transaction has completed the execution, then the updates and modifications to the database are stored in and written to disk, and they persist even if the system failure occurs, no matter what type of system failure occurs. ऐसा नहीं है कि earthquake आ गया, system दब गया and your transactions are gone and the people are saying that we don't know how much balance you were having in your bank account because our system is destroyed, right? So that should never happen. That should never occur. Is this clear? So this is the introduction to the transaction. This is the information for the students, those who have joined the session for the first time. Guys, Monday to Friday, we are having the session at the same time, that is at 4 p.m. on this YouTube channel. So you can subscribe for this channel and also you can join the Telegram group. That is Shefali ma'am Testbook. आप search भी कर सकते हो और the link of this group is given in the description box. Benefit is you will be getting the PDF of all the YouTube sessions. जो आज वाली PDF है, after ending the session within 10 minutes, I'll share this PDF in this Telegram group. So you need not to write the theoretical points. तो इससे क्या होता है when you are attending any session और आपका focus points note करने पे भी है and you are busy in listening, तो कहीं ना कहीं distraction होती है. So it's always good to listen to the concept whatever is explained to you, और लिखना कब है जब आपको कोई question given है. तो in that case I'll be giving you some time to try the question, तो आप कोई भी part miss नहीं करोगे. So the main idea behind sharing these PDF files is just to make sure कि you guys can focus on the sessions, you guys can focus on learning the concepts during the session rather than taking down the notes. So notes will be provided in this Telegram group, and apart from that, in case if you have any doubt or query, you can post that in the Telegram group. You can directly interact with me, you can participate in the quiz and the polls conducted on this Telegram group. Okay, again the link is in the given in the description of this video. Just give it a try, check करो कि मिला है link. अगर नहीं मिला anyhow, towards the end of this session I'll be sharing my screen and I'll show you that where is that link available. All right. Okay, so as we have talked about the schedule, this is what we have already talked, that we have two types of schedule, a serial schedule and the concurrent schedule. So schedule is nothing but this is a series of operations, like how we are performing the different set of read operations on various data items and the write operation on the data items. So it's a series of operations from one or more transactions. A schedule can be of two types. We have already talked about this. That is serial schedule and concurrent schedule. Serial schedule means after the completion of one transaction, then only the other transaction will start. So when one transaction completely executes before starting another transaction, that schedule is known as serial schedule. Okay, so जो serial schedule होता है, that is always the consistent, because in this case there is no interference of the other transaction. For example, there is a schedule S जो अभी हमने example ली थी, and we had taken two transactions. A and B has a debit ए में से हम डेबिट कर रहे हैं और बी में हम क्रेडिट कर रहे हैं. सो पॉसिबल सीरियल स्केड्यूल्स क्या होंगे, पहले ए में से डिडक्ट करो अमाउंट एंड देन बी में क्रेडिट करो, और followed or T2 followed by T1. So basically if we have n transactions, then how many serial schedules are possible? अगर हमारे पास n transactions हैं, then number of serial schedules possible. How many serial schedules are possible? You can see here if we have two transactions T1 and T2, then first of all we might be executing the T1 completely followed by T2. Other way is we might be having T2 or T1, right? If we have three transactions, T1, T2, T3, or we may get T1, T3, T2, T2, T1, T3, T2, T3. I'm writing the possible serial schedules. Then starting with T3, we may get T1, then T2, or T3, T2, and T1. With two transactions, we were getting two serial schedules, and with three transactions, we are getting three serial schedules. So can you tell me that if we have n transactions, how many serial schedules are possible? Obviously, it's not equal to n, है ना? यहाँ पे अगर दो transactions थी, दो ही आ रहे, looks like n can be the answer. That's why I have taken the example with three schedules. How many serial schedules are possible? See, in order to fill the first position, how many options are available? There are three options available. Three transactions are there. There are three ways to fill this position. Now we are left with two transactions. So two ways are there to fill this position. We are left with one transaction. So one way is there to fill this position. So it comes out to be 3 into 2 into 1. That is nothing but 6. So 6 serial schedules are possible. Have you got the hint? अगर आपके पास दो transactions हैं, first transaction can be filled in, first position can be filled in two ways, one way, so this is 2 into 1. If we'll be having four transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, so first position can be filled in four ways, then in three ways, then in two ways, and so on. So how many serial schedules are possible? I hope that now you must have got the answer. Yes, no. So there are, this is nothing but this is 3 factorial. This is nothing but this is 2 factorial. This is nothing but this is 4 factorial. Right? So if we have n transactions, then the number of serial schedules possible is n factorial. This can be asked in the exam. Number of serial schedules possible with n transactions. You can note this in your short notes. Make sense? Next one is the concurrent schedule. Okay, so advantage of the serial schedule is will always get the correct result, but there are the drawbacks of the serial schedule, that it is not utilizing the resources fully, because when the transaction is busy in performing the IO specific instruction, तो memory resource utilize नहीं हो रहे. When the instruction is busy in performing the memory specific instruction, IO devices are not utilized properly. So that's why the drawback with the serial schedule is a serial schedule has low throughput and less resource utilization. This is the drawback. Correct? Advantage with the serial schedule is database will always be in the consistent state. Database will always be in the consistent state. Okay. Next one is the concurrent schedule. Concurrent schedule is when the operations of a transaction are interleaved. Interleaved means एक transaction completely एग्जीक्यूट नहीं हुई है विद ऑपरेशंस ऑफ अदर ट्रांजैक्शन ऑफ अ शेड्यूल। एक ट्रांजैक्शन के कंप्लीट होने से पहले अदर ट्रांजैक्शन इज आल्सो scheduled, that such a schedule is known as concurrent schedule, but the concurrency can lead to inconsistency in the database, but sometimes concurrent schedules may result into the inconsistency in the database. This is the drawback with the concurrent schedules. But if you take proper care of this thing, if we are going for the proper serializability concept, then concurrent schedules also gives you the correct result. So in the above example, concurrent schedule is inconsistent. So the example that we have taken on the previous slide, that was the example that we are referring here. I don't have the sufficient space on the slide, so again I'm not writing the same example. You can refer to that. So if we have to find out in transactions, let us assume that if M and N are the operations in T1 and T2 respectively, so total possible schedules will be M plus N Cn, or you can also write this as M plus N Cm. This is about the total possible schedules. If I am interested in finding the number of concurrent schedules, then how to do that? आपको possible schedules मालूम है, you know the serial schedules, just subtract it and finally you'll come up with a number of concurrent schedules. Yes, let me write that. For that, I need to hide the image for 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, now we have some space on the slide. So if I want to find out the number of concurrent schedules, that is equal to total possible schedules minus number of serial schedules, right? I hope that this is clear. Guys, quickly give me the confirmation if it's clear till this point. So this is all about the introduction to transaction. Any doubt in the introduction to this? All right. So next we have the protocols to control the concurrency, because we know that the concurrency is not returning the desired result. Yes. So can you tell me that what are the types of schedules? Can somebody tell me that what are the types of schedules, or what are the protocols to control the concurrency? We have recoverable schedules, we have the conflict serializable schedule, or we have view serializable schedule. So in the exam, you will be given with the transaction, okay, and you will be given with the schedule, and they'll say that the given schedule is recoverable. So we can classify the schedules on the basis of the recoverability, or on the basis of the serializability. In order to achieve the concurrency, in order to control the concurrency, schedule These schedules are categorized into two categories, recoverability and serializability. Under the recoverability, we will be talking about irrecoverable schedules. Here, we'll talk about irrecoverable schedules, recoverable schedule, cascadeless recoverable, and strict recoverable. And if we talk about the serializability, here we'll talk about conflict serializable schedules, conflict serializable schedules, and view serializable schedules. Okay. Anyone having any idea that what are irrecoverable schedules or what are recoverable schedules? Anyone having any idea? So already we have discussed that the schedules can be classified into four categories on the basis of recoverability. When can we say that the schedule is irrecoverable? Quickly write in the chat section, irrecoverable, recoverable, cascadeless recoverable, and then we have strict recoverable. Any idea? Let's start with the irrecoverable schedule. Basically, let's consider a schedule S with two transactions T1 and T2. Okay, and it is performing a read operation on the data item A. Let us assume that we have only data item A. So T1 is performing the read operation on data item A. Let us assume that the value of A is 1000 in the database. Okay. This is the initial value. So we can say that this is the initial read since it is reading the value from the database. क्योंकि अभी तक किसी भी transaction ने data item A की value को modify नहीं किया. So this is known as initial read. I'll be using these terms frequently when we'll be talking about the concept of serializability as well. So transaction T1 is performing an initial read on the data item A, and after that it is updating the value of the data item A. Let us assume that the value is updated to 500. Now the transaction T2 is performing the value of data item A. What value A will be getting now? It will be getting the value, whatever value is written by the transaction T1. जो T1 ने value write की है, it will be getting that value. Okay. अभी तक transaction T1 has not committed, यानी कि changes permanently change नहीं हुए. This is the temporary update. Now, a transaction T2 gets commit. ये ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट होगी मतलब इसने कोई वैल्यू रीड की एंड इट हैज परमानेंटली सेव दैट वैल्यू. But now what is happening here? Transaction T2 is going to roll back. Let us assume that this transaction is going to roll back. Roll back means it wants to perform the undo operations. तो इस transaction ने undo operations perform कर दिए. जब undo operations perform हुए तो basically what is the value of data item A? Undo means जो value पहले थी it will be same value. So this is rollback, but A has got the value. Here we are getting the value 500. Now basically what is this? Here this value transaction 2 is having some value which actually does not exist. ये वैल्यू एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं कर रही है. But if transaction T2 has rollbacked, can we roll back transaction T1? Sorry, T1 has rollbacked. तो क्या हम T2 को roll back कर सकते हैं? We cannot roll back T2. अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था कि अगर आपने चेंजेस को परमानेंटली सेव कर दिया तो अनडू ऑपरेशन वर्क नहीं करता आपकी फाइल पे. Similarly here, it has made the changes permanent, so we cannot perform the undo operation. So we can't do that. Can't roll back. तो अब ए की एक ओरिजिनल वैल्यू कहां से आएगी? कहीं से नहीं आएगी. सो बेसिकली व्हाट इज दिस शेड्यूल? दिस इज नोन एज दिस सिनेरियो रिजल्ट्स इनटू द irrecoverable schedule. Basically what irrecoverable schedule is, if any transaction is dependent on some other transaction which is not committed. कोई ट्रांजेक्शन है जो दूसरी ट्रांजेक्शन पे डिपेंडेंट है विच इज अनकमिटेड, एंड डिपेंडेंट ट्रांजेक्शन पहले कमिट हो रही है. अगर डिपेंडेंट ट्रांजेक्शन है, इट गेट्स कमिटेड फर्स्ट, देन इट मे रिजल्ट इनटू द इररिकवरेबल शेड्यूल. मेक सेंस? ये क्लियर हुआ? So basically what we are doing here is we are trying to roll back the committed transaction. Irrecoverable schedule means we are trying to roll back committed transaction, and obviously we cannot do that. Committed transaction, and this transaction is the dependent transaction. अगर डिपेंडेंसी नहीं है तब तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. Is this clear? So we can say that a transaction is said to be irrecoverable. A transaction is said to be irrecoverable when it is not possible to roll back the dependent transaction. Make sense? Quickly give me the confirmation, because on the basis of this you may get the direct questions. You will be given with a schedule and you have to identify that whether the given schedule is irrecoverable, recoverable, cascadeless recoverable, or strict recoverable. Okay, ये कब है? When it is performing the operation on the same data item, but if we have two transactions T1 and T2 and this is performing the read operation and write operation on the data item A, and this is performing the read operation on data item B. So can I say that this is a dependent transaction? No. This is independent transaction. This is initial read. This is also reading the value of the data item B. Transaction T1 has updated the value of the data item A, so there is no dependency. This transaction is not dependent. Dependent kab hogi? When the operations are performed on the same data item. Correct? Have you got the idea? Next one is recoverable schedule. When can we say that we have a recoverable schedule? When we delay the commit. Basically irrecoverable में problem क्यों आई? क्योंकि जो transaction T2 है, it gets committed immediately. So in recoverable, in order to make this as recoverable, what we'll do is delay the commit of the dependent transaction till the a main transaction gets committed or rolled back. What I'm saying is, if there is a schedule S with two transactions T1 and T2, this is performing a read operation on the data item A, write operation on data item A. This is performing the read operation. So here T2 is dependent on T1 because T2 कौन सी value read कर रहा है, which is written by the transaction T1. Same scenario. But in order to make this schedule recoverable, what we'll do is जो dependent transaction है this will not get committed जब तक मेन ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट या रोल बैक नहीं हो जाती. या तो ये ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट हो जाएगी, कमिट हो गई मतलब चेंजेस आर परमानेंटली मेड, सो this value is the correct value. If this transaction gets roll back, अगर ये ट्रांजेक्शन रोल बैक होती है तो डेफिनेटली वी कैन रोल बैक दिस ट्रांजेक्शन एज वेल. So in this case, we can say that the schedule is recoverable. Okay. So in the recoverable schedule, the schedule is recoverable if we delay the commit of transaction T2. What is this transaction T2? This is the dependent transaction up to commit or rollback of transaction T1. This is a recoverable schedule. But if you see here, there is some drawback of the recoverable schedule, because when one transaction is going to roll back, all the dependent transactions will also roll back. Right? तो अब इस केस में क्या होगा? Since one transaction is forcing the other transactions to roll back, तो इसका मतलब कि बैक टू बैक बहुत सारी transactions roll back हो सकती है. That is known as cascading rollback. What I'm saying is, let us assume that there is some schedule S with 4 transactions T1, T2, T3 and T4. Let us assume that T1 has performed a write operation on the data item A, and T2 is reading the value of A and then writing the value. This is reading the value of A, writing the value of A, and considering the worst case scenario. इसके ऊपर कुछ और operations हो सकते हैं. I'm not considering those. Okay, I just want to create a dependency here. Read A and write A. Now, this we have said that we are not going to commit the dependent transaction first. So let us assume that the transaction T1 gets rolled back here. यहाँ पे transaction T1 roll back होगी. And this was reading a value here. That means T2 was dependent on T1 क्योंकि T2 value कहाँ से ले रहे हैं? T1 से. So this transaction will also be rolled back. And this is dependent on this value. This is dependent on this value. जब T2 roll back होगी तो यानी कि values exist नहीं कर रही, then its dependent transaction will roll back. Its dependent transaction will roll back, so it results into rollbacking of all the dependent transactions, and this is known as cascading rollback. Cascading rollback. Basically, why this problem of cascading rollback is occurring, because जो हम read operation perform करवा रहे, this is reading the value which is not committed yet. Okay, cascading rollback occurs because of uncommitted read. Means किसी transaction ने कोई value को write करवाया but it's not committed yet, और उस commit होने से पहले ही हमने read कर लिया, so it results into cascading rollback. Now what are the drawbacks with the cascading rollback? ठीक है, अगर एक transaction rollback हुई तो बाकी जितनी भी dependent transactions है सारी की सारी rollback होगी. But what is the drawback? अगर कोई drawback नहीं है तो we need not to discuss it further. But if there is some drawback, obviously we need to find out the solution to overcome that. So what is the drawback of cascading rollback? Let us assume that transaction T4 में दो ही operations perform करवाने थे. It has completed its execution 99%. This had completed its execution 60% क्योंकि इससे पहले कुछ और operations perform हुए. This has completed its execution something like 79%. But जब आपने ट्रांजैक्शन को रोल बैक किया तो जितने भी रिसोर्सेज यूज हुए थे इन ट्रांजैक्शंस को एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए, रिसोर्सेज गेट्स वेस्टेड. When there is a cascading rollback, the first drawback that is coming up, resources gets wasted. आपने resources use किए execution के लिए but आपने रोल बैक करवा दिया. For example, you have put 3 to 4 files on downloading and you are like there is no progress. तो जो फाइल आपने डाउनलोड किया, फॉर एग्जांपल कोई फाइल 60% डाउनलोड हुई है, कुछ 50% डाउनलोड हुई है, तो आप उसको कैंसिल कर देते हो, तो जितनी डाउनलोडिंग हुई थी दैट इज ऑल ऑल्सो गॉन, राइट? सो दैट इज नथिंग बट कैस्केडिंग रोल बैक. Make sense? Guys, quickly give me the confirmation. After this, we'll talk about the concept of cascadeless recoverable and strict recoverable. Then we'll look at the type of question and then we'll end our discussion. Quickly give me the confirmation. Is the difference clear between recoverable and irrecoverable schedule? Irrecoverable schedule में सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्या हो रहा है, जो dependent transaction है that gets committed first, जिसकी वजह से हम transaction को roll back नहीं कर पा रहे. But in recoverable schedule, जो dependent transaction है, इट्स कमिट विल बी, ये ट्रांजेक्शन कब तक कमिट नहीं होगी, जब तक मेन ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट नहीं हो जाती, देन वी से दैट दिस इज अ रिकवरेबल स्केड्यूल. बट द ड्रॉबैक इज हियर इट रिजल्ट्स इनटू, ड्रॉबैक इज it may result into, not always, it may result into cascading rollback. So in order to overcome this problem, what is the solution? ये प्रॉब्लम क्यों आई है? बिकॉज वी आर रीडिंग सम अनकमिटेड वैल्यू, अनकमिट रीड. सो इन ऑर्डर टू ओवरकम दिस सॉल्यूशन, जब प्रॉब्लम समझ में आ गई तो सॉल्यूशन क्या है कि अब हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ कमिटेड वैल्यूज रीड करेंगे. Correct? That is nothing but that is known as cascadeless recoverable schedule. So cascadeless recoverable schedule says nothing, just it says that we will delay the read operation until the transaction gets committed. Okay, make sense? Read operation of the dependent transaction will be delayed until the main transaction gets committed. Read operation, what I'm saying is, there is a schedule S, transaction T1 and T2. It has performed a read operation and write operation. A value kyunki write hui hai, that means it had made changes to the database. So this transaction will, transaction T2 wants to perform the read operation. It will not perform the read operation until this transaction gets committed. तो ये अभी ट्रांजेक्शन कमिट नहीं हुई है, सो इट विल नॉट परफॉर्म द रीड ऑपरेशन, क्योंकि अगर रीड करेगा तो हो सकता है इन फ्यूचर इट मे आल्सो रोल बैक. सो वी विल डिले द रीड ऑपरेशन, delay the read operation of T2 until the commit or rollback of T1. So this is not committed, now it gets committed. ये commit हो गया या फिर roll back हो गया. After that it can perform the read operation. This is allowed. But we haven't said anything. One main point to notice here is we have not put any constraint on the write operation. हमने write operation के बारे में यहाँ पे कोई बात नहीं की है. तो this simply means that before the commit or the rollback, write operation is allowed, but not the read operation. There is no restriction on the write operation of T2, that is the dependent transaction. Correct? Okay. Next one. Strict recoverable schedule. Strict recoverable schedule simply says that T2 will not perform. T2 will not perform, or you can say that read or write operations, read or write operations, but data item should be same, right? Operations, read or write operations of T2 will be delayed until commit or rollback of transaction T1. So what do I mean by this point? There is schedule S and we have the transaction T1 and T2, and this is performing a write operation on T1. So here T2 won't be performing any read or write operation. यहाँ पे ना ही write operation perform हो सकता है, कब तक नहीं हो सकता? Until this transaction gets committed or rollback. Once this transaction gets committed or rolled back, then we can perform a read operation or the write operation. So here both the read and the write operations are delayed until the commit or rollback of transaction T1. But definitely, if I'm taking here, I want to perform here the write operation on data item B, that is allowed because it has performed a write operation on A. तो इसका बी से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, राइट? सो डेफिनेटली डेटा आइटम ऑलवेज कंसिडर द डेटा आइटम, जस्ट don't only focus on read or the write operations. Is this difference clear? So in irrecoverable schedule, we have said that the dependent transaction should not get committed first. And in recoverable, we are saying that the dependent transaction, irrecoverable में dependent transaction पहले commit हो रही थी, तो we were not able to roll back. And in recoverable schedule, the dependent transaction, जो dependent transaction का commit है, that should be delayed until the main transaction gets committed or rollback. And then we have cascadeless recoverable, in which we have said that the read operation on the same data item, obviously the data item should be the same, read operation on the same data item should be delayed until the commit or rollback. तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ condition read operation पे है, whereas in strict recoverable, read or write operation both should not be performed until the transaction gets committed or rolled back. Make sense? Is this difference clear? So let us discuss one question, and after that I'll be giving you two practice questions as your assignment, and definitely that will be available in your PDF. So we will be discussing the solution of those in tomorrow's session. So here it is saying that check the following schedule in which category it falls. Let me tell you that what options can be given to you. The given schedule is irrecoverable. Irrecoverable. It is recoverable but not cascadeless. It is cascadeless recoverable but not strict. Option D. It is strict recoverable schedule. So this way you can expect a question from this topic. It is strict recoverable schedule. Okay. So here there are two ways. One way is जो भी आपको set of operations given है, you can draw a table and then check for the dependencies. Other one is once you have done enough practice, तो आपको table बनाने में time waste करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Directly you can attempt this. If we talk about the summary of the schedule, so we can say here is, okay, so we can say we have all the schedules available. Here we have all schedules. All schedules means recoverable as well as irrecoverable. Under this, there is a subset of, हमने schedules के ऊपर condition लगा दी on the basis of the commit कि dependent transaction पहले commit नहीं होगी. So that results into the recoverable schedules. Under the recoverable schedules, we have put a limitation that the read operation will be delayed until the commit, and that results into the cascadeless recoverable. And then again we have put a condition that neither read nor write operation will be performed on the same data item until the transaction gets committed, that is known as strict recoverable. So on the basis of this, we have got our options. So there might be some schedules which are, this indicates we have recoverable plus irrecoverable schedules. So recoverable and irrecoverable, उनमें से कुछ schedules आपने recoverable ले लिए, and then cascadeless recoverable and strict recoverable. Guys, quickly give me the confirmation if this is clear, so that we'll start with the discussion on the practice question. पहले standard way करते हैं, then we'll talk about without creating a table how you can attempt that, because अगर मैं directly करूँगी so you may get confused in the concepts of recoverability and shortcut. Okay, so let's start with the schedule. So if you observe here, जब भी आपको किसी भी operation को read करना है, so if I'm reading this operation R1 of X, this means that read operation transaction T1, this means that transaction T1 has performed a read operation on data item X. Okay, so from here you can notice that what is the maximum number? Maximum number is 3. This indicates that in the schedule is we are having 3 transactions, T1, T2 and T3. Point number 1. Next, response बहुत low है. Our first transaction, this means that transaction T1 is performing the read operation on the data item X. Transaction T2 is performing the read operation on data item Z. Transaction T1 is performing the read operation on data item Z. Then transaction T3 is performing a read operation on the data item X, read operation on data item Y, then write operation on data item X. T3 is performing the write operation on the data item Y. And then R2 write operation on data item Z, write operation on data item Y, and then transaction T1 gets committed, फिर transaction T2 commit हुई, and then transaction T3 gets committed. First of all, check out for the pairs, conflict pairs. So basically read operation, see, जब तक read operation perform कर रहे हो, that means till then there is no change in the database, कोई भी value change नहीं हुई है database में. So read operation is never going to create any problem. Read operation है तो कोई dependency नहीं बन रही है, because this is the initial read, this is the initial read, this is the initial read, this is performing the read operation. इससे पहले T1 ने read किया है, but it has not made any changes to the value of X, right? So no issues. चेक कहां से करना है? राइट ऑपरेशन कि कोई डेटा आइटम राइट हुई है और ये कब कमिट हो रही है. सो देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम विद दिस वन. नाउ राइट ऑपरेशन इज परफॉर्म्ड हियर. चेक करो, इज देयर एनी ट्रांजैक्शन हु इज रीडिंग और राइटिंग द डेटा आइटम ऑफ एक्स? There is no transaction after writing the value of the data item X. कोई भी transaction नहीं है जो X की value को read और write करे. So this is not creating any problem. It is performing the write operation on data item Y. Is there any transaction? सिर्फ T2 में operations perform हो रहे हैं. This is dependent on T3. T2 is reading the value of Y that is written by T3. तो इसका मतलब क्या है? T2 is dependent on T3. अब सबसे पहले तो ये देखो कि schedule recoverable है भी या नहीं. अगर recoverable है, then we'll check whether it's cascadeless recoverable or strict recoverable. Recoverability के लिए जो dependent transaction है, it should not get committed first. यहाँ पे T2 is dependent and इन दोनों में से कौन commit पहले हो रहा है? T2 gets committed first. So dependent transaction पहले commit हो रही है, so this results into irrecoverable schedule. So we can say that the given schedule is irrecoverable. So the answer for this question is it's option A. So this is how you have to handle the questions on the basis of recoverability. Make sense? डायरेक्टली कैसे कर सकते हो? जैसे अभी हमने देखा कि प्रॉब्लम विल अकर व्हेन एनी राइट ऑपरेशन इज परफॉर्म. अगर सिंपली रीड ऑपरेशन चल रहा है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. सो until and unless we get any right operation, we can skip, we can just ignore the remaining operations. Now here comes the first right operation. Now check, is there any transaction which is performing read or write operation on X? No, so there is no issue. Go with the next one. It is performing the write operation on the data item Y. Now check, is there any transaction which is performing the read or the write operation on data item Y? सबसे पहले आपके पास T2 is performing the read operation. Okay, read operation is not delayed until the commit of write operation. Read operation delay नहीं हुआ. Read operation is not delayed until commit. तो इसका मतलब cascade less तो नहीं है. Now we'll check for recoverability. So dependent transaction should not get committed. Recoverable क्या बोलते हैं? Dependent transaction should not get committed until the main transaction gets committed. But यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? T2 gets committed first. So I need not to write all these points just from the given schedule. You can see whether the transaction is recoverable or irrecoverable. So which method is better to construct with the table? Actually, this will be required जब तक आपकी प्रैक्टिस नहीं हो जाती. Once you are comfortable with the concepts, तो आपको ये tables बनाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Is this clear, guys? Is it clear? So I'm giving you two assignment questions. This is assignment question number 1. Options are the same. Given schedule is यही चार options आपको consider करनी है. Irrecoverable, recoverable, but not cascadeless, cascadeless, recoverable, but not strict recoverable, and strict recoverable. So this is assignment question number 1. This is assignment question number 2. That's it. Okay. After discussing these two questions in tomorrow's session, we will start with the concept of serializability. So tomorrow we'll focus on conflict serializable schedules. So for this, in order to get this PDF and in order to get the PDF practice questions, join my Telegram group, that is Shefali ma'am Testbook. In this, in another 10 minutes, I'll share the PDF of this session. You can also ask your doubts. अगर जो हमने categories discuss की हैं on the basis of recoverability, you can post your query in the Telegram group, or you can also ping me up on the chat so that you can directly interact with me, and you can also participate in the quiz and the poll. Let me show you that where is this link available. Just give me the confirmation if my screen is visible for you guys. I'm going to share. Okay. So currently this session is going on. Yes. So I'll go to the description. Here in the description, you can see that the first link is for NIC NILET masterclasses. So those who are targeting on NIC NILET, you can follow these sessions as well. वैसे gate वाले students भी कर सकते हैं because whatever questions have been asked on in the different exams, so it will work for you guys as the important set of questions. So anyhow, you can go through this master series. एंड NIC NILET के लिए मैंने पहले ही बताया है, और बी एट द ISRO एग्जाम, जो भी बाकी के कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स हैं, इफ यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड वेल फॉर द गेट एग्जाम, तो यू नीड नॉट टू पुट मच एफर्ट्स इन द टेक्निकल सेक्शन ऑफ द अदर एग्जाम्स. In order to join the NIC super coaching, अगर आपको लगता है कि नहीं, आपका specifically target is to get NIC coaching, then you can join this link. And in order to join the super coaching for the gate, then this is the link. But for the Telegram group, third link आप देख रहे हो, this is for joining the gate super coaching Telegram group. Okay, so just click on this and you will be taken to the Telegram group, so you can join that group. And for the super coaching, The benefits of the super coaching are you will get lot many videos, recorded sessions which are provided by different educators. So I'm going to the different courses which are available under the super coaching. So there is a complete course by Gate Forum, complete course by DBMS, complete course by Nimbus Learning, and complete course by me and my team. You can see the picture and you can see the rating of all the courses 4.7 ke upar hai sari, and here you can see that the rating is 4.9. So when you go to this course you will get the video. So under this course more than 250 videos are available from the different subjects. You can follow those videos, you can clear your concepts. In case you have any doubt, you can join the live session in which you can ask your queries. And under the live series, we will be having two types of sessions. Pehla session hoga on the quick revision of some topic of some subject, and next day we will be having the discussion over the previous year questions of that particular topic. Okay, so this will be handled in the live sessions, so that once you are done with the recorded sessions, then you might be having some doubts or your queries, so you can ask your doubts and the queries in the live session. So ऐसा नहीं है कि complete course is recorded, so it's recorded as well as live series is there. And you can also attend the demo classes so that you get a flavor that how these sessions are conducted. Under this super coaching you will be getting a mock test series, and all the pre-IQs will be available. तो इसके लिए आपको टेस्ट बुक पास अलग से लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. And the most important thing is you can save your time by downloading these notes. So all the notes are available in the PDF format. Here you can see 7+ PDF notes. PDF files are available for the general mathematics, general aptitude, formula notes. Formula notes are nothing but basically these are the short notes which helps you to revise the subject in a quick manner. Like if your exam is approaching or you are attempting the test of the test series, तो आप directly यहाँ पे formula notes को refer कर सकते हो once your preparation is done. And under the computer science engineering, सारे subjects में से total 59+ PDF files are available. You can see here programming and data structures, 5 PDF notes are available. For computer networks, 10 files are available. So like this, the all the topics are covered in the PDF. And अभी आपको दिख रहा होगा ये जो icon है, this is long because the demo account that I am using, I have not subscribed for the super coaching. तो जैसे ही आपकी subscription on होगी, this will be unlocked and you can download the PDF. तो सारे subjects की recordings, notes, complete content will be available in one go. So it's up to you guys that from which subject you want to start your preparation. तो हो सकता है कुछ स्टूडेंट्स आपके थे जो थर्ड ईयर में है, इन देयर थर्ड ईयर दे माइट बी लर्निंग कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क्स, आपके सेमेस्टर में है, तो I'll recommend you to start your preparation from the computer networks because it will help you in your semester exams as well. So for this we have three types of plans available: 3-year plan, 2-year plan, and 1-year plan. Under 3-year plan, uh, you can see here 3-year plan is for 26,999. For 2-year plan, it's for 21,094, and 1-year plan is for 13,499. So I'll recommend for fourth year students or third year students that you can go for 1-year plan, but those who are in second year, at least go for 2-year plan because your validity will be till the end of the third year. तो basically होता क्या है कि जो गेट में हमारे पास technical subjects है, those are the core technical subjects of your branch. For example, if we are talking about the computer science engineering, so जो subjects आप third semester, fourth, fifth और sixth semester यानी कि second और third year में cover कर रहे हो, वही core technical subjects आपके पास gate syllabus है. So once you have covered any subject थ्रू गेट पर्सपेक्टिव, गेट का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू डिफरेंट नहीं है, इट्स जस्ट आस्किंग कि आपके कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर हो. तो जब आपके कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर है तो इजीली यू कैन राइट द थ्योरी इन द एग्जाम्स, राइट? सो दिस विल हेल्प यू टू प्रिपेयर फॉर योर सेमेस्टर एग्जाम्स एज वेल. So it's up to you which plan you want to refer. So according to your convenience, you can either go for 1-year plan or 2-year or 3-year plan. And to get the extra benefits, don't forget to use the coupon code that is Shefali S. It's given in the description box as well. It's Shefali S. Okay, so just apply this code to get the extra discount. So currently it's going on. I hope that this is clear. So this is all from my side. If you guys have any doubt or any query, you can ask. After this, I'm going to discuss the schedule, and I'll tell you that what all things we are going to cover in the upcoming sessions. So tomorrow we'll continue our discussion with the transaction and concurrency control. To be precise, so tomorrow we'll be covering, first of all, I'll discuss the assignment questions or the practice questions on the basis of recoverability. ये इसलिए दिए हैं क्योंकि आज there is no master class. Okay, recoverability, and then we'll talk about conflict serializability. Tomorrow we'll discuss the concept of conflict serializability and how to identify the serializable schedule. This is the agenda for tomorrow's session. Those who are new guys, from Monday to Friday, we are having the session at 4 p.m. Basically, this is 1 hour session, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is on YouTube. On the YouTube, we are just covering the concepts and the practice questions. Practice questions आज से ही हमने शुरू किए because people are saying that they don't want to solve the PYQs on the same day because they need some time to revise the concepts. So masterclass 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. In this, we are covering the PYQs of the topics which we are covering on the YouTube. So earlier we were discussing this on the same day. Now we'll be covering this on the next day. That means जो टॉपिक हमने आज कवर किए इसके PYQs हम कल करेंगे, जो ट्यूसडे को टॉपिक कवर किया उसके PYQs हम वेंसडे को करेंगे, so that you get sufficient time to revise the concepts. I hope that this will work fine. And Saturday and Sunday is the marathon, depends on जो हमारे पास टॉपिक आए, if it's required to be taken in the marathon session. If you have any request or any demand for a marathon session on any specific topic, you can write in the Telegram group. Okay, so we can plan accordingly. और marathon का duration क्या होगी? It will depend on the topic itself. Because there are few topics which we can cover in 1.5 hour, or there are few topics which requires 2.5 hours. So अगर बहुत ज़्यादा lengthy होगा, we'll divide that in two sessions. If it's possible to cover in one session, then we'll go with that. Any queries? So this is all from my side. Any queries from your side? So yes, today there is no master class because yesterday we didn't had any session. So today will not be having master class. So just revise these concepts. If there is no doubt, at least write that in the chat section that no query is there so that I can end the session. And guys, please try to consider or try to treat these sessions as the interactive sessions. So don't be a passive listener. So just don't sit idle and listening to the concepts. It's very, very important to participate in the discussion. This will give you more confidence and more clarity of the concept. All right, so as I think there is no doubt, so this is all from my side. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you. Bye bye. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.